So, I'm not sure if I've just caught Lynn in a lie about Britney's use of drugs, because in this interview she's promoting her book, which is infamously had to be taken off shelves because Sam Lutfi was suing her for defamation because she called him a quote-unquote Svengali, and it told of how Sam Lutfi cut Britney off from all of her family and all of her friends, also cutting her phone lines to prevent them from contacting her, and also said that he crushed up substances and put them in her food. However, in this interview where she's promoting her book, where she says all of that, the interviewer directly asks her, was Britney using substances? And her answer was, I don't know. Take a look.
What was she doing? Was she doing and alcohol, do you think?
I don't know.
And to be fair, she maybe just didn't want to talk about it live on television, but then you're on there promoting the book where it explicitly says in it that this did happen. So, which is it? Is it that you don't know, or that you've written a book, a whole friggin' book about how Sam Lutfi made her use substances and was crushing them up in her food and stuff? So it just doesn't add up for me. And because the books have had to be recanted from all shops providing them because of the defamation lawsuit of Sam Lutfi, these are just some of the snippets I've been able to find talking about how the book accused Lutfi of providing Britney with substances. This piece says, Lutfi's attorney ticked off more allegations in Lynn's book that Lutfi hid Britney's dog, disconnected the house telephone, called her a piece of trash, and told Lynn he would crush pills and slip them in her food to keep her in a substance-induced coma, all of which Lutfi denied on the stand. This other article says, later that year, Lynn Spears published a memoir, Through the Storm, a real story of fame and family in a tabloid world that included 3 chapters about Lutfi, in which she called him a predator and accused him of blank her daughter and controlling every aspect of her life. This other one says he is seeking millions of dollars from Spears and her family, claiming her mother's 2008 book, Through the Storm, lied about him D-ing her and isolating the pop star. So as you can see, she did say that in the book, yet in this interview she's saying that she doesn't know. And what I also find a bit suspicious is the fact that Ali Sims, Britney's cousin and assistant at the time this all went down, actually commented on an Instagram that was claiming that Lynn actually crushed up some pills and put them in Britney's Red Bull at the time to get her to go to Promises rehab, and Ali commented underneath, confirmed. So this was posted on August 12th of this year, and it looks like it's a email from someone to whom I believe is Britney's lawyers. I'm not sure because the email is redacted. It just says law@msn.com, and this email was sent on the 9th of March 2011, but this news was actually released on the 12th of August of this year. But the email goes on to say, yes, Lynn was at her son Byron's apartment in Marina del Rey. I believe Betty Weinman, an interventionist, was present, as well as Ali Sims, and there was another woman there at the time. According to Lynn, she was sent the unnamed woman to the pharmacy at the Ralph's grocery store next door to pick up an RX that she called in. When the woman brought the pills to the apartment, Lynn claims she took a pill, crushed it on the kitchen counter, and wiped the contents into Britney's Red Bull, in which Britney drank, passed out, and later was driven to Promises. And someone underneath commented, OMG, at I am Ali Sims, which is Britney's cousin / assistant at the time, is this true? And then as you can see at the bottom there, Ali replied, confirmed. So obviously there's nothing more has come of this, so this, don't take this as fact, but the fact that Ali, who was there at the time, and this was back from 2011, that email, so it's not as if they're just coming out of the woodworks for some clout now, is, I don't know, it's just a bit suspicious really. And what I also find suspicious is that they claimed that he hid her dogs from her, when we now know, as of late, that that's exactly what Jamie was doing. It wasn't, maybe Lutfi was doing it back then, we don't know, but Jamie also did that. So are they just accusing Lutfi of everything that they were doing? I don't know. But having said that, there is so many things that Lutfi should be talked about more for, because it's a bit suspicious when someone has upwards of 8 restraining orders put on them, including that of your neighbour and your friend, and allegedly had texted them things like, "I'll dance on your grave," or "I'll bury you," things like that. And what actually gives Lynn's side of the story more credence is that the fact that Lutfi has been accused of supplying substances to Courtney Love's daughter, Francis Cobain. And there's emails going back and forth between the two where they talk about, quote unquote, filling up the cookie jar, which was, their term to hide what was actually being talked about. And not only that, but he was actually allegedly involved in an attempted murder of Courtney Love's daughter's boyfriend. I know that's quite hard to follow, sorry. His name was Isaiah Silverman, and Courtney Love's daughter, Francis Cobain, gave Isaiah a guitar of her late dad, Kurt Cobain, when they were together. But as they split up, Courtney decided she wanted it back. Isaiah didn't want to give it back, so to get it back, Sam Lutfi and 2 other guys knocked on his door, pretended to be the LAPD police, and everything that I've found from the court transcripts alleged that Isaiah Silverman was beaten and threatened that they would be taken upstairs to R him if he didn't stop shouting. And they took him out to the car, tied him up and threw him in the boot, and they were driving somewhere to what Isaiah Silverman believes to murder him. And who was in the apartment with Isaiah at the time was his best friend. He witnessed all of this, and he drove alongside this car that they had Isaiah Silverman in the boot and managed to block it off so that they couldn't leave, called the police at the time, and they came, helicopters came, the actual LAPD came, and Sam Lutfi allegedly coerced Isaiah into saying it was all a prank. And only now, over the past few recent years, has this all been brought to court, because Sam Lutfi was kind of, along with other people, threatening Isaiah about the safety of his family. And all of this is alleged in court documents. Do not take it as fact. It's alleged. But the most recent court hearing happened, I think it was April 2021, and Isaiah didn't show up. So there's speculation as to whether he's too scared to attend it, or whether maybe it wasn't true. There doesn't seem to be an actual dispute over whether this event occurred. It was just whether it was a prank or actual done with intent to harm and potentially kill. So the fact that Sam Lutfi has been, potentially involved in a attempted murder, yet no one's talking about it in relation to like the way he acts around or acted around Britney. I'm not sure. To be fair, this was 4 years later, so maybe he was a different person before. And, two things can be both right. He could have been a good person with Britney, but a shit person around Courtney Love. I don't know. But either way, that's a hell of a thing to be accused of, and no one seems to be talking about it. But yeah, that's kind of a massive side tangent. I just didn't want anyone thinking that I was pro Sam Lutfi. I'm not really sure at this point. There's just so much evidence to support either side, and it just depends on which way you want to look at it. Most people nowadays seem to be in support of Sam Lutfi and think that he was actually on the right side of it, and he definitely does seem to have maybe been trying to get Britney out of the conservatorship. It's just whether he was doing that to remain in position as a manager and financially gain off that. So again, two things can be right. He could have been advocated against the conservatorship, but was he doing that because he didn't want to see Britney in it, or just so he could remain manager and financially benefit from being around her and in her sphere at that time? So I don't know. There's so much around him. It goes so many layers deep. When you learn one thing, there's another thing. The fact that he's been involved in trying to get Lindsay Lohan in a conservatorship, the fact that he quote unquote tricked Amanda Bynes to go to a rehab center when she thought that they were meeting her parents and a doctor in a hotel, the fact that the fact that he was surrounded with Courtney Love and all of that drama I just explained. he seems to be around these people who are in difficult mental health situations, potentially benefiting off them. I'm not too sure, but it's just a coincidence. And then how can you be, whether, I don't know, the fact that he has 8+ restraining orders against him, like, my guy, take a hint. Harassing people to get what you want isn't the way to go. I don't know. I'd love to know your thoughts on it all. Whether you think, I don't know, Sam Lutfi's a good guy, is he in the right? Am I just not seeing things for how they truly are? Leave, like, literally any idea you have about anything that I've talked about. I'd love to know your thoughts, because Sam Lutfi really does has me in a bit of a twist. I don't know what to make of him, but I'd also really appreciate if you liked and subscribed. I'm trying to hit 2K by the end of the year. So see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with